Thanks for joining us. A blistering lawsuit says the glittering Las Vegas nightclub industry has a dark underside.
The federal suit alleges that the industry has destroyed lives and used young women as expendable playthings.
The suit was filed by a former employee of the Light Group, which is the largest club operator in town. The woman claims she was fed drugs and booze on a daily basis and was expected to have sex with customers.
George Knapp, the I-Team, has the exclusive story. George.
You know, the world got a small glimpse under the tent of the local nightclub scene when the Tiger Woods scandal broke a while back. Woods was one of the celebrity customers at these clubs and reportedly had sexual favors with women who worked at them. The lawsuit filed in federal court this afternoon by a Jane Doe rips open the door of that tent. It provides grim and graphic details about how this one particular nightclub empire allegedly recruits attractive young women still in their teens, grooms them with a steady diet of booze and drugs, and expects them to do anything high-rolling customers might want. For Jane Doe, the wild ride started at age 19 when a company host recruited her by taking her to a bar for drinks. And they know you're underage.
Yeah, he knew.
And you're drinking.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Once we got there, he did give us cocaine, and before I did it, I said, you know, well, one, I was nervous because you don't usually do cocaine with people you're trying to work for. I felt that a bit odd. And I asked him, you know, I can't do this if I'm going to have a drug test for this interview, because it would be working at a hotel. And he said, no, Light Group's perfect for you. He's like, why do you think we all work here? You know, this is the company to work for if you want to do drugs.
Let's make the toast!
It's not exactly a revelation that drug use is widespread in Las Vegas nightclubs. After all, people come here to party. But there's nothing casual about substance abuse described in this explosive lawsuit, which alleges booze and drug use that is systemic, not only tolerated but condoned by management, according to Jane Doe, who was promoted into the pulse-pounding madness of Jet, a nightclub at Mirage, as a cocktail server. She says she was taught how to entice customers into spending more money. The lawsuit alleges the female employees were encouraged to drink and do drugs and have sex with high-rolling customers, not just celebrities, but anyone who spends big money.
Sex is encouraged once a girl engages in that sort of behavior with a client. Management will expect it from you should it need to happen again. So once you put yourself out there and do it once, you show that you're willing to be a company girl, and they love that.
The Light Group is an unqualified success story. In just the past 5 years, it has expanded to 16 clubs, restaurants, and pools that rake in $160 million a year, even in a recession. A cocktail waitress like Jane could make $3,000 in a weekend. The lure of that kind of money, plus the glitz and glamour of the constant party, is powerful. But the reality, according to the lawsuit, is a pervasive atmosphere where women are not only groped by customers, but also by managers and co-workers.
Touching, grabbing, there's a lot of verbal sexual harassment that's comes off as being, you know, more joking. And that's what they do. They make harassment funny even by using it as a joke. They do it so often that just like everything else with the drug use, it becomes normal. And so you forget that it's not supposed to go on and that it is inappropriate because you see it every day and it happens to you every day.
This is a company that exploits these young women by using alcohol and cocaine and the lure of glamour. They get to dress up, party, be with these famous people, and it all sounds very good to a 19-year-old who is being solicited to work there. After a while, they lose all sense of reality. Everybody's there, everybody's drinking alcohol, everybody's using cocaine, everybody's getting groped and grabbed and molested in this place, and it seems normal to these young girls.
For Jane Doe, the party ended abruptly. She nearly died, ended up in a hospital, and says she filed the suit in order to help other young women trapped in the same system. Tonight at 11, details on how she says the company talked female employees into sleeping with customers and the tragic story of one co-worker who did not survive. A spokesperson for the Light Group said the company sympathizes with anyone who has substance abuse problems, but that these accusations are, quote, outrageous and completely untrue, adding they will prove as much in court. And later on, we're going to post the lawsuit on our website.
We'll look for that. Thanks, George. The most successful nightclub operator in Nevada was accused today of conspiracy, assault, sexual harassment, and a lot more in a lawsuit filed in federal court by a former employee. Now, that employee who filed the complaint as Jane Doe says her bosses at the Light Group actively recruited young women who were then plied with drugs and alcohol into partying and sexual relations with high-rolling customers. Jane Doe alleges it was like working in a brothel. The I-Team's George Knapp spoke exclusively with a woman and her attorneys and is here with that story.
Dave, the Light Group is a true Las Vegas success story. It runs 16 restaurants, pools, and nightclubs along the Las Vegas Strip. This lawsuit comes at a very bad time for the nightclub industry, which is already under scrutiny by gaming regulators and the IRS. It's hardly shocking to hear that Las Vegas clubs would exploit beautiful young women or that drugs and booze are easy to find here. But this lawsuit alleges the hard partying was purposely woven into the overall marketing strategy of the company. And for Jane Doe, it nearly led to her death.
There's women everywhere that are given large amounts of alcohol to make them not do what they would normally do. And there's so many of them.
Jane Doe didn't always want to be part of the wild Las Vegas nightclub scene. She was a high school cheerleader, an honor student, studying graphic design in college when at 19 she was recruited to work at one of the restaurants owned by the Light Group. Once she heard about the money being made by women inside the company's nightclubs, she started partying with coworkers, lost interest in school, dyed her hair, got a breast job. Cocaine and booze were widely used by employees, she says, including her.
I wouldn't say they force me, but they definitely condone it. And there's a difference between if you condone something, then that means you're okay with it.
Not only condone it, not only allow it, but actually encourage it?
They encourage it. Once you put it out there that you are willing to do that, they'll make it very accessible for you. I did it to maintain my body. Light Group liked how I was very thin with huge boobs. I fit that image. And I wanted to look good to keep my job.
Appearances were everything, she says. In her federal lawsuit, Jane claims cocktail servers had to undergo what she called a nightly boob check by managers. They were also expected to party with customers, especially celebrities, who are a key part of the Light Group's marketing strategy. Jane says celebrities like Tiger Woods would have everything comped and would be showered with female attention as an enticement to non-celebrity high rollers.
The girls all over them, the girls dancing behind them in little tiny dresses, surrounded by alcohol and these beautiful women everywhere. And if you have enough money and you're an onlooker, you want that too. We make you want that.
She alleges the company expected cocktail waitresses and others to date, even sleep with customers. A few of her co-workers were mentioned as being among Tiger Woods' romantic interests. One of Jane's friends, a VIP hostess named Desiree, was considered the go-to girl for the club, the one who made the most money by, quote, taking care of high-roller customers. But Desiree died of an OD in 2009. The same almost happened to Jane, she claims. After a year at Jet, her manager asked if she needed to go to rehab. She said she needed help.
I thought they were going to send me the next day, and they kept me on the schedule, and then they kept me on the schedule the next day, and they worked me all the way till Monday, still supplying me with drugs and alcohol after I said, yes, I have a problem, yes, I would like help. And then they sent me home Tuesday morning to die in a park.
After 5 days of nonstop partying at work, she attempted suicide, was found by a jogger in a park and rushed to a hospital. She was in convulsions, a shadow of her former self. It was something no father wants to see.
I see a withering shell of a daughter that I don't know. She looked like she was dead. She was pale, she was thin, she was maybe 95 pounds.
Attorneys Al Marquis and Michael Amador filed the lawsuit knowing that Jane made the decision to drink and use drugs. They allege the company actively promoted excessive behavior and specifically recruited young girls into the business.
This is their business plan. This is not one rogue employee doing this. This is from the owners all the way down through the hosts and the managers. Everyone is engaged in this activity, and they all make it clear to these girls that if you don't do what we want, you're going to be fired because there's 50 other girls waiting to take your place.
Jane Doe's attorneys say they will be able to back up their allegations because they've had investigators working this case talking to other women who worked for the company. The Light Group understandably did not want to say much since the suit was filed just late this afternoon.
Thanks for joining us. The Las Vegas nightclub empire is accused of steering its female employees into having sex with high roller customers, including Arab royalty.
The legal action was filed in federal court by a former cocktail waitress at the Light Group, which operates 10 places here in town, including nightclubs.
As the I-Team first reported, the complaint alleges the company actively recruited and groomed young women, allowed the widespread substance abuse, and expected its employees to do whatever it took to promote the business.
George Knapp is here with much more.
Drugs, booze, sex inside Las Vegas nightclubs, not exactly a revelation, you know. Those things come with the territory. The difference, as alleged by this complaint in federal court, is that those elements were allegedly all part of a business plan. The father of our witness, Jane Doe, compared it to a cult, in that the nightclubs became surrogate families for these young women who, according to the confessions of a club girl, were expected to tolerate the intolerable.
When you do Light Group, you're taught service with like a sexual undertone. When the Arab customers came in, it was not about service at all. You were just meant to be there for them to touch and grab and hold on to. And they didn't care if you made them a drink or not. They wanted you there to look at so that they could touch you, and you dance when they tell you, and you sit by them when you tell you, and you're just there as like an object.
Of all the things Jane Doe says she endured as a cocktail server at Jet, some of the worst came at the hands of the very wealthiest customers, Arab millionaires and royalty. Such customers were not rare at the clubs, especially after September 2008, when Zabil Investments of Dubai, headed by the heir to the throne of Dubai, bought 50% of the Light Group. For the young women working in the clubs, the Arabs were always a handful.
They expect you to do anything that they want, no matter how degrading. And if and when you say no, they're almost floored that you spoke back to them in the first place, let alone are not going to do what they asked.
In her lawsuit, Jane Doe alleges that attractive women were recruited even in their teens to work in Light Group restaurants as a feeder system for the nightclubs, that they were conditioned through the use of drugs and booze to become accustomed to what would be blatant sexual harassment in any other workplace, preyed on by high rollers and celebrities, but also by managers. Once the women get into their 30s, they're shown the door, and newer, younger replacements are brought in, like Jane Doe, who was transformed from honor student cheerleader to surgically enhanced strung-out party girl.
If I had a teenage daughter, 19 years old, I would not let her work on the strip in light of the facts that we've learned in this case.
Al Marquis and fellow attorney Michael Amador are not newcomers to the ways of Las Vegas, but both say they're astonished by how insidious and well-organized the system allegedly is.
They are exploiting 19, 20, 21-year-old girls with cocaine and alcohol, and convincing them that it is appropriate for their supervisors to fondle them, to grope them, to treat them a humiliating experience, to let customers do whatever they want, and ultimately to fly these girls out of town to have sex with these high-paying customers.
Jane Doe says she drew the line when she was asked to fly to L.A. for what a boss told her was a marketing trip. She asked a more experienced coworker what that meant.
She said these trips, they would be with their Arab customers or the very high-paying customers they would like to do favors for. They take you guys to LA, a bunch of the girls they work with these men, and they put you up in a hotel, they take you to dinner, take you to a nightclub, get everyone very drunk, and then the way it usually works is at the end of the night, you go back with these clients and sleep with them, and then they're very happy and they find out who their new girls are.
A long year of booze and drugs allegedly supplied at her workplace left Jane a wreck. At the end of a 5-day runner, after she'd asked to be sent to rehab, she says she was instead poured into a taxi by her boss and sent home. Despondent, she tried to take her own life, ended up in a psych ward, and has come forward with the lawsuit to help the other women still caught in the glamorous web.
I don't want people to be expendable. A life is not expendable, especially one that is unlived. You almost ruined mine, and I was 22.
We should emphasize again, these are allegations only. The Light Group, which is a very successful company here, says the allegations are outrageous and completely untrue, and it intends to fight back in court. The full complaint has been posted on our website. We'll have further updates as this moves through the legal process.
Thank you, George.
Sure.